We practice shamanism without knowing that it's shamanism. It's so connected with religion.
Two different spots in the world with similar rituals, similar traditions, similar beliefs. We are not so different. But a history of centuries, of hundreds of years, experiencing the same, teaching the new generations the same, and being guided by the elders to get this purpose is something so beautiful.
Humankind, you need to transcend the mind to reach to a point. What they are doing, they are healing with poetry.
There is darkness between us and the path of Ayahuasca. This tradition is showing, bringing this up and showing you. But how can you heal yourself if you don't see your reality, your inner world, your truth? What have you done with your life? So I'm the first person interested in understand a little bit better, because you have come to the jungle, you're coming from a very different culture, you're coming from an Arabic or kind of Arabic culture, as I understand, half Arabic, half Western, and you have come from Turkey to our center in Cumbres de Arutam to learn shamanism, to practice shamanism, to discover yourself, evolve, and you have been diving very deep into ancestral practices from the Shuar people.
Yeah.
And I can imagine how is the conflict between these two waves, these two beliefs, of these two waves of life, of thinking. So can you tell me which have been your first impressions here, or what has happened with you here?
Well, yes, I'm coming from Istanbul, Turkey. And yes, I come here to practice shamanism and learn about the Shuar lineage and your teachings. Yes, I mean, culture might seem like a little bit different. First of all, I want to correct something. Turkish culture is not Arabic culture. Turks are a different variety of people. We have never been farmers. We have never been traders. We have never been like sailors. Turks are fighters. You know, we fight. We are nomads and we fight. After the force of like Mongolians, we moved from the steppes to like Anatolia.
From the north.
Yes. Before accepting Islam, I'm not saying like forced by someone to Islam. Before accepting Islam, Turks were believing in a shamanistic sky god religion called Tengrism.
Is it shamanic culture?
Yes. Yes, it's a sky god religion, eternal sky. But for Turks, accepting Islam was between 8th and 10th centuries. And it was over time, and there wasn't any force. So what has happened? Turks take the core belief as Islam, but the culture already was like inheriting the shamanistic beliefs. So in our daily lives, right now, you know, when I was a child, right now, we practice shamanism without knowing that it's shamanism. It's so connected with religion. It is so interesting. For example, you know this Japanese professor, I cannot maybe going to say the name correctly, Unimoto, the one who discovered the memory of the water.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, I mean, he discovered the memory of water like maybe like 10 years ago, maybe like 15 years ago. When I was going to primary school, if I'm going to take an exam, my grandma was first reading the Quran, then speaking Turkish to a glass of water and let us drink that water to have clear mind, to be successful in this is shamanistic practice.
This is similar to
Yes.
the Shuar enchantments thrown in the ayahuasca,
Yeah.
and then somehow the power of the shaman, the sensak and the arrows, the force of the shaman, the union between the spirit and this sacred man is transmitted into the ayahuasca, into the glass of this liquid, and then when the blessing is on, is delivered to the student or to the patient to be imbued of this grace.
Yes, yes. I mean,
I never heard such a thing.
yes, yes, yes. I was grown like this. I mean, forget about me. Ask any Turkish person. Okay, ask any Turkish person. Say like, is your grandmother was whispering into water and were you drinking it? They will say yes. We were doing it before the exams. We were doing it before we will take the driving test. And not only like water. I remember grandmas with their head covered, reading Quran, but then embodying the whole thing within and then speaking Turkish to rice. And they were making us swallow that rice, you know. For example, you are sick. Someone is jealous of you. And we call it nazar. Someone is looking at you with like evil eye, you know. Then women gather together in a house. And there is a woman, she's like a shaman, but she's not shaman. She's connected with Islamic religion. We call it hoja, you know, like a teacher. And this woman is like, they are preparing like a pot, and there is needle in it, there is onion in it, and they were putting a blanket on top of you, and they were pouring lead, like they just melt the lead on fire and pouring lead into water, chos, and then look at the lead and they say, oh, you have this, you have that, you have to put this one under your pillow for 7 days, and then you have to take this and throw it to the sea, you know. So regarding your question, we all, I mean, Turkish culture, all Turks, we have been grown up with these ideas. We were tying, for example, if you have a wish, you want to get married, but you are so unlucky, you won't be able to find a woman or you won't be able to find a boyfriend. Then there are sacred trees over there. You go and you tie a rope for your silent wishes. And for like ancestral like worshipping. For example, in Islamic religion, in Quran, there is nothing mentioned that you have to go to a tomb for an ancestor and you ask. No. In Islam, you pray and there is nothing between you and God. But all these 200 years of converting to Islam by the Sufi masters, dervishes, traders, and wanderers, so it merged like slowly to something which shamanistic belief is embedded in the Islamic culture, but people are not thinking it as it is shamanistic. They believe it's coming from the ancestors. We believe it's true. And yes, in heart we are all Muslims and we believe in Allah. But as I mentioned, the sky god religion was Tengriism. And in Turkish, we call Allah Tanrı. So everything is connected. So regarding your question, I don't see any conflict, you know. I'm just seeing for myself. I'm 50 years old and I studied everything. Like from Bhagavad Gita to Kabbalah. I studied everything. I mean, my journey was like 13, 14 years. I am on the path. Not the path of ayahuasca and tobacco, but all these things showed me the oneness. Everyone is saying the same thing. But somehow, you know, I found myself in this path where there is no conflict, there is like acceptance, and I am able to find my roots not as a Turk, but as a human being.
It's so unbelievable. Two different spots in the world with similar rituals, similar traditions, similar beliefs. We are not so different.
Yeah.
We are the mankind.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Nomads, moving from the north to the south. My ancestors in the jungle, my elders, they also were nomads.
Yeah.
And they really believe in, they, it's not like they believe in something. It's not like they wrote a book and everybody through different generations were reading the same book or sharing exactly the same words. No, it was not like this. My ancestors believe that each one of us must find his own relationship with his creator. In our tradition, since you are a very young guy, you go to the waterfall with your father, with your grandfather, with your master. And in the waterfall we drink tobacco to receive the vision, to receive the blessing, to listen the whispers of this spirit, of this great creator. My elders name him Arutam. And after this ritual in the waterfall and the practice of Natemamu, this young guy realizes one of the main truths of this tradition. All the beings in this world, we are the carriers of this spirit, of this force, of Arutam, of this nascent eternity. And when I listen a message like yours, when I listen history, and I see the coincidence and the nexus between different traditions and different spots in the world with a history of probably hundreds of years, centuries.
Yeah.
This made me trust in the past, made me trust in our instinct, in our nature. For me, many times the adoption of new religions, young religions, very young religions, of beliefs, the adoptions of new cultures, is something new that you don't know which consequences will come after. But a history of centuries, of hundreds of years, experiencing the same, teaching the new generations the same, and as we do here in the jungle, finding each new being, the creator, the spirit, and being guided by the elders to get this purpose, and then receive the respect of all the community, of all the members of your family, is something so beautiful. When I listen to history, I all my confidence comes up again. You bring up my confidence back, and give me motivation to continue with the practice, and also in one edge of my heart the love arises, because what is the difference between you and me, since that the space and the time is not?
Yes. Exactly.
And we are here searching for the same purpose. Finally, this unites us.
First of all, in all religions, including Islam, Christianity, Judaism, the main thing is like know thyself, right? Know thyself. And the second thing is remember who you are. But if you cut the word like remember, but then like come again and remember and unite again. So
Gather again.
yeah. Back in 1950s, 1960s, I was born in 1976, but I'm listening from my elders. Family, for Turks, family is important, and families used to live in a single big house. Grandma, grandpa, daughters and sons, and their husbands and wives and their children, they live in a big house. There was one pot for food. you don't need a nanny to pay to take care of your children. Your grandma and your grandpa and your like elder brother and sister was like, you know. So look at me, I have like goosebumps, you know.
Yeah.
So it has one family unit. Then I say, think about it carefully. What is the biggest religion in this world? Unfortunately, the biggest religion is money. So what happened? These family houses, big houses, turned into apartments. Flat, flat, flat. So one electricity bill, the other electricity bill, one pot in one flat, one pot in another flat. Grandma living upper floor, and the daughter said, I don't want to live in the family apartment. Let's rent here, and let's move to another place. So the family unit, you know, like slowly with the modernization, so collapsed, and individuality take control, and with the modernization of the new technologies and information, there is lots of information, but we don't know which of these information are correct. So we need to learn more in detail and try to analyze what we were taught by the elders from our ancestors and combine it with everything what we are seeing right now and come to a conclusion. So, I mean, as a 50 years old man with a 16 years old son, I see this as my duty to my son. So what I am doing, every holidays I'm taking my son, and with a car I'm driving him 85 kilometers to my mom and to my dad, and to teach him the way how we need to treat family. Because there's a really good saying, I love it, it's coming from a Pink Floyd song. It says like, together we stand, divided we fall. So and the unity starts from family. So we have to move back to the roots of Turkish family culture and unite again. I have lived abroad. I have lived in Canada, in US, in Europe. I can tell there are really, really radical Christians, you know. So, so there will always be a radical part. So those people who are strict in the religion, you know, strict in the religion, yes, shamanism doesn't have a place.
Doesn't have place.
No, no.
I have noticed the same with the radical
Yeah.
Christians.
But if you are wise enough to discover the true meaning of Islam, and if you dive into Sufism, which is the esoteric knowledge of Islam, then you will see, you know, shamanism, these like dervishes like revolving. They are not drinking some plant tea. They are not drinking ayahuasca. But what they are doing, because humankind, you need to transcend the mind to reach to a point. What they are doing, they are healing with poetry. They are healing with music.
Dances.
Dancing. And they revolve, and their head turn, they revolve. Like, I have been to a Sufi ceremony, non-stop music, non-stop revolving, 4 days, 3 nights, non-stop.
But that you are inducing a kind of trance.
Yes, yes, this is the same thing, you know. In this part of the world, this knowledge is not like this, because here is jungle, you know, the rainforests, everything is wet,
Green,
you know,
yeah.
green,
Plants.
yes, and like it's not close to like big cities. I mean, think about Ecuador. We were talking with Shuar guys today. Ecuador's population is like 8 million, between 8 million, 10 million people living over here. In Istanbul, there is 20 million people living, you know. So of course, these things are going to be different. But when you dive deep into these dervishes, you know, they are revolving like constantly, and they're coming to a headspace, and also there is zikr. For example, group of guys, they come together like hundreds. Zikr means like enchantment. It's like mantra. For example, La ilahe illallah is a very important. If you say La ilahe illallah, it means you accepted Islam, So these guys are making zikr with La ilahe illallah all night, singing. They are getting into a trance. But it's the way, because Islam is the religion of humbleness. You have to be humble. Those radical Islamic people who are like shooting, killing, like pure Islamic heart is not accepting of this.
So the truth is the pure Islamic religion or the pure Muslim doesn't allow violence, right?
Of course.
This is true, because some people
Yes.
say no, they are violent, and the religion push them forward to be violent. It's not true.
No. This is like bad propaganda, This is like bad propaganda, but you know what to do. If you show a Islamic religious group in the television which are slaughtering, like people taking their heads off and like destroying the artifacts of like old times, of course people are going to believe that, oh, this is wrong. These people are radical. No, I mean, we cannot say, if we individually try to look, we can find goodness and evil. Let me ask you a question. Do you think all shamans are good? There are not so, super good like, no, I know lots of stories from
Sadly, it's true.
Peru, from, like, I know lots of people from other types of the world, they are practicing with guitar and like drums and medicina, kura,
And we have sorcerers.
So this is not about Islam, this is not about Christianity, this is not about shamanism, this is about the purity of your heart and how you want to reach to oneness.
It's amazing, your explanation, thank you. It's amazing. I hope that many people can listen to you, and many people also can understand why I believe and I support our Turkish family. There are a lot of heavy reasons behind, very good fundamentals.
Yes.
So I believe you really clarify my mind a lot, because you compare me, the radical Muslims, with the radical Christians. Yes, in United States and a lot of places,
Yes.
in South America.
Yes.
The people have lost, they have a mist in their mind. I mean, they can betray their own spirit and their own feelings, and even the humanity and the tenderness, and the natural tenderness that all the beings we have in our heart. Yes, sometimes following orders or interpretations of books like the Bible and all these kind of things, and then you listen, you see what happened here in Ecuador with the Spanish and the conquerors, and a mess.
I'm not coming from a strict religious programming family, but I have friends, like at my age that we studied together. They were coming from strict religious backgrounds. So what I have seen within these like 50 years, for example, when I was 20, I wasn't going to mosque and I wasn't going to Friday prayers. For men, Friday prayers are super important. Men must go to Friday prayers every Friday at noontime. All men gather in mosque, they pray, they come together. But you are not obligated to do so, So I wasn't doing this when I was 20. But my friends from the religious background, like religious programming families, they were going. For example, I have one friend. He's also a very spiritual person, but he was on the path of Islam. I was a little bit on the path of like whatever knowledge I can gain. So what I see is like while I was learning the rest of the knowledge and leaving Islam behind, my brother, my dead friend, was like growing with Islam, and at some intersection, everything changed, you know. So I was more inclined to learn about Islam and Sufism, and that my friend started to release Islamic, started not going to Friday prayers, started drinking a little bit of alcohol. I was drinking alcohol back when I was 20 years. I'm not drinking alcohol right now, you know. But he was like, you know, starting to drink alcohol a little bit more. So this is like experience. So, but regarding the shamanism, I think we need to clarify shamanism in a more professional and kind of scientific, connected with a little bit of like maybe psychology. And we have to clarify, because people might get a little bit scared. For example, you are telling me, Alper, these radical Islam guys are doing this. And people are thinking, oh, these shamanic guys are doing, because there are lots of,
Natemamu.
yes, yeah, there are lots of bad examples, you know.
Yeah, of course.
So I think it needs a little bit more like clarification. At the end, I believe that we have a saying in Turkey, we say, su yolunu bulur, means water will find its way. So it will come to a really good conclusion, I suppose.
Now I understand that Turks are very open, are flexible, and they have a very rich culture.
Yes.
And this is good. I mean, it's much more open than people really think nowadays.
Yeah. I strongly believe Turks are really interested with shamanic knowledge. And I've been on the shamanic path since 2020. So how I end up being on this path is after a dark moment, you know, created by myself, I created my own darkness, you know, so I self-sabotaged my life with some darkness that I have, and I find myself in a circle. So, and after I learned with all these experiences throughout the world, and finally with Maestro Ruyman, so shamanism is working with darkness. But before, you know, within the ceremonies, like unknowledgeable, not competent enough people, like supposedly shamans were, you have to wear white, you have to wear jewelry, you have to be light. But okay, we are wearing white, but we are getting in a dark place, you know. We are scared, and later on with you, I realized that, you know, the path is the path of darkness. The path is not dark, but discovering your own darkness and like alchemize it, like see your darkness, like accept it and turn it into, change it into to your like lighter side. This main thing is like knowing thyself. So as within this shamanistic belief, within our culture, within our religion, like Sufism, and all these Sufis, like special places where they discover this. Of course, shamanistic knowledge, shamanistic view, shamanistic practices are very familiar with us. But after I met with you, I'm saying follow the original one. Okay, so I'm always saying, you know, when I'm talking to people and explaining about the Shuar lineage, the Shuar way, the traditional Amazon shamanism, it is going to be a simple example, but I say like, okay, if you go to America, you go to a sushi restaurant, what you eat? You eat California roll, right? But if you go to Japan, can you find California roll? No. California roll is the westernized one. So it's enjoyable, but it's not sushi. So traditional shamanism, whether you do or another master, but the traditional one, it's the original Japanese sashimi sushi.
Is, I think, you're Turk, Muslim, whatever, but we have difficult moments in our life, and it's difficult to find really useful and helpful tools in this world, in this moment, to save ourselves, because we have to save ourselves. And as you say, yeah, maybe it's hard on the beginning because we have created a lot of darkness, we have hidden a lot, little things that now are monsters and are eating us, biting us.
Yes.
So there is darkness between us and the path of ayahuasca. This tradition is bringing this up and showing you. But how can you heal yourself if you don't see your reality, your inner world, your truth? What have you done with your life? But once you realize and you understand, because we have to make the effort to understand.
Of course.
It's a little sacrifice.
Yes.
Painful for you.
No.
Painful for me.
No.
But then you cross the veil, you go through, and what do you think is behind? The same spirit that your ancestors mentioned in Turkey. Those ancestors who came from the north. And still the grandma are blowing in the water and the rice and praying. By the hand with Muslims as well, with a good heart, people of peace. We are all humans, and we need, and in this world there are very few tools, useful tools, very few. We have to make the most with those when we find a one with good quality and deliver from a good hand.
Yes.
So did I understand more or less?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much
brother.
for everything, Ruyman, for everything. I'm so grateful to have you in my life. As I said, it's my honor, it's my privilege to be around you and be a warrior of the light that you are spreading to the world. Are you?
Thanks for the honor and for listening to me, for bringing this to your people. Is so special, and I'm just a man who learned a tradition and realized the meaning of this tradition in himself. But if I am a master, like people call me, it's because there is people with big heart, willing to receive this heritage. Thanks to you, you make me the one who I am. Are you?
Are you?